2.5 continued. How would you solve x plus 1 to the 2/3 equals 4?
Equals to 0.
What?
You said keep it short just to teach fuzz.
How do you get rid of the 2/3? No.
Okay.
How can I break down 2/3 when it's an exponent? It actually is broken down differently. I can separate it so that the bottom part is a cube root, so I can rewrite it as the cube root of x plus 1 equals 4. I'm sorry, I can rewrite it as the cube root of x plus 1 squared equals 4. The 2 stays with it. With the parentheses, the cube becomes the cube root. Whatever's on bottom becomes the root that you're taking. How do you get rid of a cube root? How do you get rid of a square root? What do you do?
Cube each.
Yeah, cube each side. So when I cube this cancels, giving me x plus 1 squared equals 4 cubed. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4 is 64. 4 cubed is 64. From there, what do I do?
X plus 1.
How do you get rid of a square?
You radical.
You radical it. So you get x plus 1 equals plus or minus 8. Subtract 1 from both sides. X equals negative 1 plus 8, which is 7, or negative 1 minus 8, which is negative 9. So you have a solution of 7 or negative 9. How do you solve fractions? 2 over x equals 3 over x minus 2 minus 1. How do you solve fractions like that when they're set equal to each other? Yep, least common denominator. Least common denominator in this case is x times x minus 2. So multiply both sides by x minus 2. Over here, the x's cancel, so I get 2x minus 4 when you distribute. On this one, the x minus 2 cancels, giving me 3x. And over here, I have a negative 1. So I'm just going to get x times x minus 2, or negative x times x minus 2. So now I have 2x minus 4 equals 3x minus x squared plus 2x. I want to get everything on one side. I'm going to subtract 3. Well, 3 and 2 is 5. So I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. And I'm going to add x squared to both sides. Hello.
The phone is ringing.
Oh, day, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Old.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
What was it?
That was like my favorite show too.
Oh.
Like they like run around a classroom.
It was a hamster, a duck, and a turtle. And they rode in like a
Adventure Time.
No.
Okay.
Adventure Time.
So then you end up getting
Yeah, I know.
Then there's a vampire princess.
X
and then there's a
squared
princess.
minus 3x minus 4 equals 0. So if I do x minus 4, x plus 1 equals 0, I can factor x equals 4 or negative 1.
I didn't do it.
Okay.
I heard a good story.
What do I?
Are you turning on the air?
No, the key.
Okay. Well, I was gonna be like a quarter.
We're doing our stuff.
And that's how you solve fractions. Last one that we have to solve, and then a couple word problems. is absolute value. If I have the absolute value of x squared minus 3x equals negative 4x plus 6. How many answers do you have when you have the absolute value of something? 2. You have a negative and a positive answer, because when you take the absolute value of a negative, you get the positive outcome. So you have a negative and a positive answer. So you have to set what's in this parentheses equal to the other side of the equation and solve. You also have to set the negative of this parentheses equal to that and solve. So you also have to set negative x squared minus 3x equal to negative 4x plus 6. So I have to create 2 equations when I have absolute value. If I create one, I am incorrect. So I'm going to add 4x to both sides, and I'm going to subtract 6. So you get x squared plus x minus 6 equals 0, which would factor to x plus 3 and x minus 2. So x equals negative 3 or positive 2 in this case. Now, on this one, I would have negative x squared plus 3x equals negative 4x plus 6. I don't like having a negative in the front, so I'm going to subtract this side.
You have to do 2 of those equations? That's so much work.
Oh, I know. 0 equals x squared minus 7x plus 6. So I have x minus 6, x plus 1 when I factor. So you get x equals 6 or negative 1. You have to plug all 4 of those answers back in to see which 2 work. Okay, because there's not 4 answers. There's a maximum of 2. You don't have a U in this. And then the last thing we want to talk about is something that's actually important, because it deals with compound interest. You're going to want to know compound interest if you're going into college, or if you're just going to buy anything like a car or something like that.
For interest and stuff?
Yes, you need to understand compound interest. Okay, so the formula for compound interest.
I need this class third bell.
I'm sorry,
Why we have to go?
I'm just thinking like, cause I can't.
because
think
then he'd be
hard.
awake by then and focused.
I
A equals P parentheses 1 plus R over N to the NT power. Okay, when you are dealing with compound interest, this is the formula you're dealing with, okay? In this formula, A is the balance of the account, okay? P is the principal. And R is the rate, okay? N is the number of compounding per year.
Thank you, sir.
Why would you want that instead? Why would you want to have more money?
Okay, and then T is your years or time. Okay, so there is a problem that says, focus. When you were born, your grandparents deposited $5,000 in a long-term investment in which the interest was compounded quarterly. So they put in $5,000 and it was quarterly.
What does the T stand for?
Time or years. Then it says on your 25th birthday, The value of the investment was $25,000. 62 and 59 cents. Okay. What was the annual interest rate for this investment? So, I have all this information.
Than that.
Right, that's what
Compound
I
interest.
know, I understand. That's why I said this is important.
Ah.
But you have to know how to
I'm still
solve that
writing
to
down
solve
the
this.
Oh, dude, what?
Now, where do I plug things in? What do I do? This is the information you're given. You started with $5,000. It compounds quarterly. That's your total end amount. And they want to know what was the interest rate.
What classes are you taking right now? 25,000, or 25, whatever the number is.
Yeah.
Equals 5,000 times 1.
Feel it heavy.
R over my rate. What is, we don't know what our rate is. What's the principal? The principal is like what you started with. So it equals, the principal is where you start with. And then 1 plus, we don't know what R is. What is my compound per year, compounding per year?
Quarterly.
So how many times? So 4. And then this exponent up here is 4 times your time. How many years has it been sitting there? If it put it in when you were born and you're now 25, beautiful. Okay. So now I have to solve. What would be the first step to solve this? How about
Hire a banker.
start with the easy thing? Why not divide by 5,000?
Hire a banker.
So that I can get at least that other stuff by itself. So if I take 25,062.59 and I divide it by 5,000, okay,
That is C or an R?
it's an R.
for rate.
So I'd rather do all this if I was buying a car.
To figure out what the best deal is, yes. Or you have to trust what they're telling you, which sometimes is not.
I just called it experience all with me. No problem.
5.0125 equals 1 plus R over 4, 4 times 25. 4 times 25 is what power? 4 times 25 is 100. So I have to the 100th power right now. How do you get rid of that? How do you get rid of the power?
Overthrow it.
What'd you say? Well, yeah, you would take a radical of 100.
See, radicals are gonna overthrow the power.
Yeah.
Radicals are
Radicals for president, radicals.
Yeah. That political party for radicals.
Okay, so if I take the 100th power of 5.0125, okay, so I'm going to take the 100th power of this, and the 100th power of this, which on your graphing calculator, you're going to press 100, and then you're going to press math, and go down to the 5th one, and press enter, and it will give you 100th power or something. And you get 1.0162 equals 1 plus R over 4. So now I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. So you would get 0.0162 equals R over 4. How do you get 4 out of there? You multiply by it. And when you multiply both sides by 4, you're going to end up getting 0.0162 times 4. You're going to end up getting 0.0648 equals your rate. So if I move my decimal place, okay, you're going to have like 6.5% interest rate. So when they put $5,000 in for you and it sat for 25 years at a 6.5% interest rate, you basically made $20,000 off of what they invested for you. Very nice.